This one is dedicated to all you crafters doing it the hard way. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Magic Craft. Today, I am going to complete the last piece of my tavern set that I am going to be giving away to one of my Patreon supporters. The last remaining piece is a couple bookcases. This is a really good project to build because bookcases can be utilized in all sorts of different scenarios in a tabletop role-playing game. You will get a lot of mileage out of simple little bookcases. I know what you're thinking. I'm probably gonna whip out the Proxon and some jigs and some XPS insulation foam and make up these little bookcases, and you're sitting there going, I don't have a hot wire cutter, I can't get this insulation foam, and I definitely don't have any jigs because I don't have a hot wire cutter. This episode is for you. I'm gonna make these bookcases the exact same way that I made my set of bookcases that I've been using in my game for like 2 years, that I built before I owned a hot wire table or any fancy tools. I didn't let those restrictions get in my way. I used an Olfa knife and dollar store foam core board. That's it. Well, also some white glue. Everybody can get their hands on a utility knife of some sort. Most people can get their hands on this Dollar Tree foam core. Not everyone, but you can find some sort of stand-in. Could I make these faster and easier and possibly better looking using the tools that I often do on this channel? Yes, I definitely could. But today I want to prove a point that it doesn't matter what you have, you can still make cool, detailed terrain pieces for your game table. So with all of that being said, let's jump over to the table and build some little miniature bookcases. The very first thing you need to do if you're going to be using blades instead of a hot wire to complete a project like this is put on some new sharp blades. This foam core board comes from the store with a weird serrated edge on it. So the first thing you want to do is cut off that edge so you have a nice clean starting line. And then I'm going to rip a strip that is 1 5/8 of an inch wide, and this will serve as the back of the bookcases. You'll notice that even though I'm just using thin foam core, I'm still cutting with multiple passes. This will ensure I have a nice clean cut. Now for the actual shelves, I'm cutting some strips that are 1/2 inch wide. The width of the side pieces are determined by the depth of the shelf plus the thickness of the material used on the back. When cutting down the pieces to length for the back, I first squared the corner using a metal carpenter square. I then cut down these pieces to 2 3/8 of an inch long. And it's at this point that I pulled the paper off both sides of all of my pieces. To cut the shelves to length, I just used the back pieces and my cutting mat as a guide and just kind of freehand cut them to length. To match the rest of the tavern set, I used the same mechanical pencil technique to draw in all of the little wood grain and knots on these pieces. Now for the assembly, you just got to glue all the pieces together. If you're in a hurry, you can use hot glue for this, but it is a little messy for a project this delicate. Therefore, I prefer to use some sort of PVA glue. And in this case, I prefer to use the Eileen's Tacky Glue, which is a thicker PVA glue, so it will hold and set up a lot faster, and you won't have it sliding around on you quite as much. And for the side pieces, you can keep these lengths actually a little extra long, and then that way you don't have to worry about lining things up when you glue it. Also, it's really helpful to use some little push pins to keep some pressure on the foam while things dry. And the little pinholes will actually add a nice little added detail when it comes to painting. And here I'm just using a wet paintbrush to clean up any excess glue that's squeezing out between the joints. I let the glue dry about 15 minutes before removing the pins and moving on to the next step. I used my Olfa knife to cut the ends flush on one side of these bookcases, but I decided I wanted to leave them a little bit long on the other end so that I could cut in some little decorative angles. Then any ends that had a new cut got a quick wood grain texture applied with the mechanical pencil. And then the most important part of any foam project is the Mod Podge and black paint coat. This will seal your foam and make it considerably harder. And for the first coat of color, I made a kind of medium brown out of some espresso, a golden brown, and some burnt umber. After the first coat of brown paint had thoroughly dried, I did a liberal dry brushing with a nice golden brown to start highlighting some of that wood grain. And to complete the paint job, I used the same dark brown wash that I used on the other tavern pieces. This gets in all the little nooks and crannies and really highlights the wood grain. And to seal and preserve this project for many years to come, I gave everything a nice liberal coating in Minwax Fast Dry Polyurethane. And there you have it. No excuses. No Proxxon, no problem. Yes, some of the things I build on this channel, you kind of really do need a hot wire table to build, but not all of them. Get out your utility knife and start building. I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, hit that like button, drop me a comment below, and of course hit subscribe if you are not already a subscriber. I have to send a big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without your support, these videos would not be made. I mean that. A lot of you don't realize this, but a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago now, my computer that I've been using to make these videos for the entire duration of this channel died. It just totally crapped out on me. But because of the support of generous people on Patreon, I was able to take some funds and buy a new computer to keep this channel going without missing a beat. You didn't miss a single episode. Every Friday, there's a Blackmagic Craft video for you guys. When I made that Patreon page almost a year ago, I made a promise that the funds would be used to keep this channel active with content all the time on the regular and improve the quality of that content. And I think that I've delivered on that promise. So if you've been considering supporting Blackmagic Craft on Patreon in the past, I would say now is a great time to do it. You can join the Blackmagic Craft Fellowship. I would love to have you as a member there. And again, this channel literally only exists right now. The only reason this video is up today is because of the people who are generous enough to help me out there. So thank you. And if you have decided that you're sick and tired of using your Olfa knife to build little things and you wanna get some better tools to build terrain like the Proxxon hot wire table, head on over to blackmagiccraft.ca. There I have my essential equipment store where you can purchase all of the stuff that I recommend through Amazon, and Amazon sends me a nice little kickback that also helps fund this channel. Anyways, guys, that's it for this week. I will see you again next Friday for another episode of Blackmagic Craft. Cheers.